लाइफ में क्या चल रहा है? Been good.
Yeah.
I think I was reflecting on this thing. I'm almost completing a year in London.
Yeah.
When?
May endish.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So and 5 years at Amazon tomorrow. Yeah.
What's
So
what's the
Nice.
verdict on London? A year in London.
And Amazon. We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
London is beautiful. I never realized a city could be this vibrant, minus the weather.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
never realized the city could be this vibrant. People could be so nice, so polite.
यार polite तो नहीं है लंदन में लोग वैसे. I realized this जब मैं अभी recently Lisbon गया था on a weekend trip, and the people were so friendly, and you just don't get that in London.
Yeah.
मुझे ऐसा लगता है, but I think it's a thing with like big cities, big financial centers. People are just a bit more antsy. Like,
I think you're talking about Canary Wharf. I'm talking about Liverpool Street.
हो सकता है. I think I'm in my Canary Wharf bubble. So
Yeah.
people aren't as friendly, as open.
No, people is just one part of the city. Overall, there's so much history to the city, and just so much of diversity. So I was actually thinking, like, if I want to launch a product, London is such a brilliant market because the world is looking at this product. It has such a good representation across the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think London has been kind so far.
Yeah. And
That's
how about Amazon?
Yeah, talking about products.
We will come to Amazon as well, but Sameeksha, what's your take on London?
I think I haven't lived in Canary ever apart from a 3 month internship that I did there. And I think बाकी का London बहुत ज़्यादा hospitable है and polite in a hospitable sense. I don't know if people are kind or not, but people are polite for sure.
Yeah.
Like if you get lost, when you want directions or anything, I think people are very kind. I think what wins, where London wins is इतनी ज़्यादा diversity है. आपको कभी लग ही नहीं सकता that you're part of a select few or you're a minority. As South Asians तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं लग सकता क्योंकि यहाँ it's like it's second home after India. But उसके अलावा भी I think हम दोनों फ्रांस में पढ़े हैं तो बहुत अलग experience था वो. You felt ostracized not just from society in terms of culture in France, but also in terms of language, in terms of just not being able to penetrate those social hierarchies or groups in a particular sense. London में आज तक feeling नहीं.
I feel like in Paris, even if you know the language and you speak it quite well, it is still very hard to assimilate.
Yeah, I agree.
And in London, you can like, हो सकता है तुम्हें English भी सही ना आती हो बोलनी, but you'll find your place and you'll find your friends and like you don't need to.
And coming back to the point about jobs here or careers here, that doesn't play an important role. Like how fluent you are in English. There are East Europeans, West Europeans who don't speak good English at all. मतलब उनकी English Indian से काफी खराब है. But that doesn't matter in the slightest.
ये चीज ना actually I think as Desis we are also sort of tuned to this fact that your English should be very good.
Okay.
I cannot name this person, but this person is a big shot at Amazon, and this person is from Spain and top rank within Amazon. English इतनी अच्छी नहीं है, but people respect that person for the work.
Right.
And यही चीज इंडिया में होती तो मुझे वो चीज लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं हम इंग्लिश को ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंस देते हैं जबकि उतनी जरूरत है नहीं. लाइक आवर लैंग्वेजेस आर प्रीटी गुड.
Yeah, it's definitely the same thing in Pakistan. हमारा वो जरा colonial hangover है ना, वो अभी भी है अच्छा खासा when it comes to English. But like you were saying, for this person at Amazon, we have like if you look at investment banks all around London, in most cases you'll find people who are very higher up to be continental Europeans rather than local people, or like they're not very fluent in English, but they don't need to be, like as long as they know what they're doing.
हाँ, और वो लोग बहुत comfortable हैं in their skin.
Yeah.
We English is our secondary language or maybe tertiary language, and that's fine. And in fact, there's some French people I work with. Like, if you want to get work done from French people, you have to talk in their language. So this was a move, like coming to the London struggles as well. Initially, working in a multicultural environment was such a struggle. एक तुम्हें ब्रिट आके बोल रहे हैं, well, this is not too bad, right?
Yeah.
So that means this is pathetic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And ऊपर से, like, if there's a Spinard who's just coming and saying, "Oh, this is shit," right? That could mean it's actually not that bad.
The people on the continent are definitely more blunt, right?
Yeah.
We've experienced that.
100%.
यहाँ पे ना लोग थोड़ा side से आते हैं, especially at work as well.
हाँ.
जिस तरह तू कह रहे, like they won't tell you, okay, this is what you're doing, this is what's wrong.
Yeah.
वो हमेशा कहेंगे, perhaps, you know, you could do it a bit differently, you could do this, you could do that. But,
Yeah. और उसके
Europeans
काम
are
में
a bit-
अपने struggles है. तुम्हारी टीम
हाँ.
में दो, and I moved initially, so one of my skip he's a Brit.
Yeah.
And he'd say, "Oh, well, this is amazing, you know, we could do this, but yeah, this is amazing." And I was very happy about it.
Yeah.
And then I spoke to somebody who is Spanish and even higher the hierarchy. And then I realized, like, are these guys not talking to each other? अच्छा है, बुरे ढंग से बता दो यार. So yeah, that's the thing about multicultural working environment.
One thing that we do, I think, crave a lot in London is the sun.
Oh, 100%.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You have newfound appreciation for the sun
I have.
when
I
you
have.
moved to London.
And हम कल ही ये बात कर रहे थे ना कि मतलब
हाँ.
like back home we didn't appreciate it as much.
Yeah.
बल्कि हम तो दूर भागते थे, अगर धूप निकली हो, we won't go out.
हाँ.
Right?
मुंडा काला हो जाएगा.
हाँ, रंग खराब हो जाएगा तो. But
आधा
like
क्रिकेट इसलिए नहीं खेला है.
यहाँ पे धूप निकली हो तो like it's लोगों की तो ईद हो जाती है कि बस, you know, we're just gonna go out, bake ourselves in the sun. But yeah, I think weather is quite
Yeah.
challenging.
So I moved directly from Jalandhar to London,
Yeah.
and it was pretty funny because, you know, even when you watch in movies, etc., oh, it's so nice and sunny, and you're like, what is so nice
Yeah.
about sun? I come from Jalandhar,
Yeah.
48 degrees in summer, sun and nice. No, no way.
Yeah.
So yeah, but when I spent one winter in London, I realized, oh, it is nice and sunny.
Yeah.
It is nice when sunny.
Yeah. What was business school like in India?
Well, I think I would put that in juxtaposition with French B schools. So
Yeah.
At least India. So I went to IIM Bangalore, and the environment is super competitive. And we have this relative grading. Everybody's, you know,
You have
just,
relative grading.
yeah.
And relative grading is basically they grade you on the curve, right? So
Oh yes.
if
Like
it's-
bell curve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if some class is super easy, then like sometimes you need to get like a 99 or a 98 out of 100 just to get an A because everyone's doing well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's a CAT percentile is.
Got it. Yeah, we had
also
something very
calculated.
similar at AGC, so I know it gets very competitive.
It gets
Surely.
very competitive, and but the good part is, I think the faculty is pretty amazing. I am still in touch with some of my professors, and in fact, the decision to move to London was I consulted my professor first.
How did that happen?
Okay, so I was
Because like just for people looking at this as well, yours is a rare story because typically people would come here, do their masters or their undergrad and then get a job here, but you've moved from India, from Amazon India to Amazon London, which is I assume it's not a very easy feat.
Yes and no. I mean, definitely, it was
मैं अपनी तारीफ
not
नहीं
easy.
करता अपने मुंह से. That's what
Humble
Sajan
आदमी है.
humble
Humble
आदमी है.
So मतलब मेरा ना Amazon में ज्यादा कुछ खास मन था नहीं. I hope Amazon से
Yeah.
निकाल देगा मुझे.
Disclaimer, you still work there.
Disclaimer, he's just joking.
Yeah, actually, I was like just joking. So in India, I was a little confused कि यार धंधा करना है या like foreign exposure लेना है. And I was, and to all the people who are watching this, making decisions at this age is so damn difficult. Every decision you take touches your personal life, your professional life, your mental health, and so on and so
Yeah.
forth. And कॉलेज में वो डिसीजन थोड़े इजी लगते थे कि ठीक है ये कंपनी नहीं मिली ये हो जाएगी मतलब you it's not impacting your personal life immediately.
Yeah.
But such decisions they impact you immediately. So I was very confused. Entrepreneurship करनी है, धंधा करना है या फिर uh, foreign exposure लेना है. And my professor was, and I was debating this for 2 years. My professor simply said, "Why not both?" And that was like aha moment for me. Oh yeah, why not both? Am I being that stupid? No, but that was the whole decision. That okay, let me give a shot at life and see what it has for me in store. And yeah, but how was France, Sameeksha?
Where do I start? No, as I did my bachelor's in Lady Shri Ram College, which is like a college under DU, which is pretty well known for like a liberal arts kind of degree or education. Even though I did economics, but even that had a lot of like development economics and studies around that, much less than like finance or other things. So shuru se I was never quite exposed to finance and all. बैकग्राउंड ये है कि माय डैड वाज एन इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकर, तो उन्होंने डे वन से बोला था बेटा तुमसे नहीं हो पाएगा, आई नो यू सिंस यू आर अ किड एंड यू वोंट लाइक इट एज मच. एंड बीइंग द रिबेल दैट आई एम,
he was right.
yeah, he was 100% right. But वो पता थोड़ी चल रहा है शुरू में.
But you still wanted to prove him
Yeah,
wrong at least once.
not prove him wrong. I was like, it was थोड़ा से false sense of prestige तो attached होता ही है with working in banking or consulting. तो वो लग गया एंड आई वाज लाइक दोनों ट्राई करेंगे, दोनों में से जो मिलेगा वो करेंगे. तो आई डायरेक्टली डिड माय मास्टर्स इन फ्रांस. बहुत बड़ा कल्चर शॉक था आई थिंक कमिंग फ्रॉम इंडिया टू फ्रांस इन टर्म्स ऑफ सोसाइटी, लैंग्वेज, जस्ट सेटलिंग इनटू पेरिस, क्योंकि पेरिस में वो अगर इंग्लिश जानते भी होंगे तो वो नहीं बोलते हैं काफी बार. दे आर सो प्राउड ऑफ देयर लैंग्वेज एंड ट्रेडिशंस. तो बट दैट असाइड आई थिंक स्कूल वाज अ वेरी नाइस एक्सपीरियंस, क्योंकि पहली बार जो थोड़ा स्कैरी भी आई थिंक, बट पहली बार लाइफ में ऐसा था कि आप कुछ भी कर सकते हो. मतलब आप देख लो, you're an adult and we trust you to make the right decision. And आप कुछ भी कर सकते हो. And so there are like international folks like Italians with you who've always dreamt of working in luxury, and they've actually come to Paris with a purpose. They're like, Paris has LVMH and these companies that literally come to our campus and are like our sponsors and our like our alumni. They've come with a plan कि luxury करना है. Like ये तो सोचा ही नहीं, Paris क्यों आए हम अगर luxury नहीं करना है तो. So it was a lot of that. It was a lot of back and forth. But then I did end up pursuing a corporate finance career eventually, and I started at like Goldman Sachs in London, doing private equity over investment banking, which I think is a very different job and a very different experience than doing banking. I think the fact about culture and being cutthroat aside, Goldman के बारे में जो सबको पता ही है, I think it's training ground for life in a way कि वो कर लो आप तो उसके बाद आपको लगता है आप कुछ भी कर सकते हो.
That's an interesting take.
We will come back to this. I don't want to steal Ali's thunder. But all in all, I think it was a slightly unconventional route to take at that point when I was graduating, because kids with me were either prepping for CAT or else they were like work experience lete hain, and then we'll think about like US business school या LBS INSEAD वगैरह 3-4 years down the line. For me, I was like, bro, पता ही नहीं है क्या करना है लाइफ में, तो थोड़ी पढ़ाई करनी जरूरी है. And then just coming to Europe, I'll come back to this as well. Coming to Europe, I think was much better for me than going to the US. In a lot of senses.
Was that the second choice? London was never.
London तब I think visa काफी stringent था, if you remember Brexit के पहले तो, और मुझे
they had that rule where you could just stay for 3 months.
And then you had to go home. And I learned of a lot of Indian kids who came back, and I was like, I should have at least a shot at working outside if I'm going out to study. It's just like things fall into place, man. You don't. ऐसे I was थोड़ा कि अच्छा मैंने ऐसे US भी apply किया था, वो भी हो गया था. Then I was like वहाँ जाए यहाँ जाए, फिर यहाँ scholarship मिल गया, and I was like इसका थोड़ा भारी लग रहा है तो यहाँ चलते. It was like look like Steve Jobs said that you can just connect the dots. Looking back, you can now connect the dots, but back then it was like अच्छा दिखते हैं, ये सही लग रहा है, इसका थोड़ा बेटर लग रहा है, इससे तो
Yeah.
ये कर लेते हैं. But all in all, I think very nice experience coming to France.
Just about the serendipity point, do you think like we're at that stage in life where we've learned this thing, you'll always be able to connect the dots, like even if it's not
100%.
working like in your favor, or at least you think it's not working in your favor right now, or things aren't going like according to plan,
Yeah,
but like 3 years down the line you'll be connecting the dots.
yeah.
I feel like we've had a bit of like quite a few of those moments.
Hell yes.
At this point.
Hell yes, I like it. No, but coming back to your experience.
In Paris?
Because clarification, we didn't go to the same school.
We did not. So you were at
At
ESSEC
ESSEC
and I was at HEC.
Yeah.
Both of them are business schools. So for me, honestly, I actually didn't know much about like business schools or what I was going to do after business school. To be very honest, मेरा ये था कि मुझे पेरिस जाना है और 2 साल का मास्टर्स प्रोग्राम है, 1 साल का गैप ईयर है और मुझे सुकून से ना ट्रैवल करना है, पार्टी करनी है, एंजॉय करना है. Like that was the plan. And मुझे ये था कि like लंदन तो हर कोई जाता है, US is just too far away. I'll be too cut off from people back home.
Yeah.
तो मुझे कॉन्टिनेंटल यूरोप जाना है. पेरिस साउंडेड वेरी कूल कि मैं लोगों को बताऊंगा यार मैं पेरिस गया हूँ. Like पार्टिंग इन
लाहौर में थोड़ी चौड़ होगी.
लाहौर में थोड़ी तरह. But I went there and like it's not easy to get in. Like you have to be like you need to have certain grades and all of that, right? But you know how like back in your undergrad or back in your high school, like all of us like have had good grades and have we've had good accomplishments and everything. और हमें लग रहा होता है कि हम number 1 है क्योंकि हम स्कूल में वो grades वगैरह आ रहे होते हैं. And then I went to HEC and there were 200 people just like me. वो भी अपने हाई स्कूल में यही करके आ रहे थे, अंडरग्रेड में यही करके आ रहे थे, and it was super competitive. I went in that environment. I had no clue what investment banking is, or what consulting is, what private equity is. Zero. I went in there, and everyone was gunning for these jobs. Investment banking करनी है, PE करनी है, consulting थोड़ा कम. HC is very finance focused. तो मैंने कहा ठीक है, मतलब if this is like the thing people are aiming for, and this is sort of the thing that's very difficult to do, I think I can do it, and I'll aim for it. So that's how I sort of, it was more of a prestige thing that I fell into it. But what I learned from that is it's really the environment that sort of pushes you to, it self-selects कि तुम कहाँ पे and how your life is going to, take shape.
Yeah.
But yeah, Paris was nice. For me, it's less, the city is less sort of prevalent in my mind. It's more the university experience क्योंकि हम dorms में रह रहे थे वहाँ पे. It was the first time for me that I was living in a dorm. Or I was the only Pakistani in my cohort. There was one other Pakistani at HEC and he was like 2 years senior to me. So that really put me out of my comfort zone. मैं कभी पाकिस्तान में अपने शहर से बाहर नहीं रहा था. And then suddenly plucking myself from Lahore and like going to Paris.
Lahore to Paris.
And there's no Pakistani with me.
सुबह पाई कहाँ है?
हाँ, पाई कहाँ है भाई, भैंचन निहारी कहाँ है, मैंने नाश्ता करना है, ये क्या है ये? Oh, actually, that's ये baguette क्या चीज़ है भाई? And that's a very important point because like ये तूने अभी बात की ना, मुझे अपना पहला दिन याद आ गया HEC में. मैं वहाँ गया हूँ and I went to the canteen area और यार जो मुझे डिप्रेशन हुआ है ये क्या
ये बगैर है बगैर थे
मतलब खाना इतना bland and everything. But I'll tell you, like first 10 days I was very homesick.
Yeah. Oh.
I was very super homesick. And then like you start I think this is a very common theme. You start making friends and you get so close to those friends that by the time so I went in September, by the time it was December and we had our winter holidays, मेरा दिल नहीं चाहता घर वापस जाने का. Because I was so close to these friends, because your friends become your family when you're in that situation. So like for me, Paris की जो मेरी यादें, it's more related to my friends and like living in the dorms and like parties in the dorms and everything.
I think those friendships are at different level altogether because सबकी फटी पड़ी है.
Jobs नहीं लग रही भाई, मतलब like इकट्ठे बैठ के applications कर रहे हैं. Like last year, I don't know if you had the same experience.
100% यार, what you same ही रहता है.
Yeah, I've got a very close friend.
I know this story.
His name's Abhishek, and literally our entire, like we were eating breakfast together, lunch, dinner, or beach mein applications ho rahi hain jobs ki. And like in the evening, you're going out and you're like de-stressing and partying and everything. But like it was just an amazing time, and I feel like the energy we had back then. I mean, we still have that energy, but it's a bit different. Like it's a bit more mellow.
Yeah.
Right? It's a bit more like sit down, focus on one thing, do that. But
Yeah.
at that time, it was like okay, application, party, cooking dinner with your friends. It's just the environment.
So this actually interestingly reminds me of this recent communication with the final year students, and these people were surprised. Oh, we always thought getting a job from college would be such a cakewalk. Oh, I made it to the top college, and अब मेरा job नहीं लग रहा है. Like,
Yeah.
who are they to reject me? And that starts to hit you that no matter which college you go to, which course you pick, getting job is always it's more than just your college, your marks.
Yeah, but ek thoda masla, I don't know if you have it in India, but at least in Pakistan, the idea is like if you're like doing well academically and you're going to a good university and everything, तो तुम like you're doing all the right things. और लोगों के ज़हन में ये आ रहे थे, okay, I actually deserve that job now because look, like I did the playbook, I got the good grades, I did everything. But at least here, like abroad, what I've realized is like no one cares about your grades. Like it's just a tick box. Right? There's so many other things you need to bring to the table. And like for me at least, जो चीज़ मुझे सीखनी पड़ी थी, that was networking and putting myself out there and actually sending those cold emails. And then people not replying and you sort of swallowing your pride. कि हाँ ठीक है भाई, मतलब वो busy होगा या like he does, like this person doesn't really care, he's an MD at some bank, like why does he care about my email? So it's a blow to your ego कि अच्छा हाँ भाई मैं undergrad में first class ली, यहाँ पे आया, GMAT किया, ये वो, all of that, I'm super smart, or like no one cares.
And you're still like in a target school in Europe, right?
Exactly.
Like they recruit from select few schools for masters in Europe. और आप उसमें रह के भी doesn't matter.
I think coming to this, you guys are from banking, right? And what are the skill sets that are actually needed? Of course, the financial prowess is one thing, but you guys go to good schools. Still, there's no guarantee you would land up a job. So, what does it actually take, A, to be a banker, and B, to be a good banker?
I will give the good banker question to Ali because I'm no longer in a bank and I think he's doing well, so he has a better answer. But I can answer the how to crack banking.
I think Sameeksha has definitely cracked the recruiting thing. Like Bain Consulting, Goldman Sachs P, Credit Suisse Investment Banking, and now Snapchat. Like
what?
Guys,
she has definitely cracked the interview thing.
It's the only skill I have, recruiting. No, but it's definitely. I'll come to that. How I think there is a sort of a playbook around it. Most important, I would agree. And idhar I want your opinion as well, in the sense ki I remember LSR mein jab hum the, there used to be companies that came to campus and they would be like, okay, we're hiring like 3 people, which is still very exclusive because when 100 brilliant people are interviewing with you, what is 3? But still, they had this idea कि हम लेंगे 3 लोगों को तो लेंगे इस साल. Whereas in French business schools or like continental Europe business schools, there is no concept of companies coming to campus, especially if it's not for the same geography. So none of us were interviewing for roles in Paris because we couldn't speak fluent French. So that meant we had to literally network our way around. That is the paramount thing. But in the same breath, also apply as soon as possible so that you have the best shot at getting an interview. So you would have to like be one of the first few to apply. The first come first serve hota hai, to apply to these banking applications when they came out. And there are a series of online tests that you have to ensure that you're in the top percentile to clear them. And then you might get like an HR round where you have to impress the HR about your why do you want to do banking. So ये जो answer है आपको banking क्यों करनी है, ये मतलब this should be like your name to you. वो आपको एकदम ऐसे you should remember it by heart, and there should be like a good reasoning as well. Like just because everyone is doing it is not good enough of an answer. So
even if that is the true reason
That is
that
the
you're
true-
doing it, and that was the true reason that I pursued it, but like don't say that
You
to
can't
HR.
say that
Yeah.
anywhere.
हर कोई उस चीज को fabricate करता है. Just
हाँ.
that
Right.
किसका fabrication
And it's
सबसे
like
अच्छा है.
HR knows, उनको पता है, मतलब जो तुम्हें इंटरव्यू कर रहे हैं ना उसको भी पता है कि तू किस लिए कर रहा है. Like you're doing it for the money, you're doing it because it's prestige, but they want to see if you're smart enough to actually
Right.
sell the dream to them, right?
यही honesty
Yeah.
चाहिए
Yeah.
हमें.
But also because in all roles, if you see, like storytelling and selling is a very important skill. तो आपको day one से वही करना है कि you need to convince the HR that you're good enough. Then you go to like, there's something called super days that we have in London IB interviews, which is once you clear all these rounds, they select like 20 kids maybe. They fly you, or like you take a train to go to London, and then they'll do like a full day ka program रहेगा आपका कि you do a modeling test, then you do like some maybe mental math test, then you'll do one-on-one interviews with like anywhere between 2 to 7 people or 10 people of various teams within investment banking, and सब मिला के end में is like maybe 5 people who get selected for a particular bank for each year. 5 से ज़्यादा होगा, I think.
It depends on the bank, and it depends on the market. Like right now, I actually feel very sorry for people who are graduating right now. Let's say someone's in some university here in London or on the continent, and they're graduating, trying to get into one of these jobs. I don't know what the scene in consulting is, but at least in investment banking, they're inheriting a pretty dim market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But coming back to your question, networking is paramount. Being early is very important because एक आपको ये भी समझना है, the HR who's reviewing, they probably won't review after the first 300 400 CVs. ये भी मैं ज़्यादा बोल रही हूँ. तो आप, you have to be the first few, and you network not because you expect something out of it, but because it's that additional push that you get from networking. कि अगर आपका 10% सक्सेस रेट है, आपने 10 लोगों को भेजा और एक बंदे ने रिप्लाई किया, मे बी दैट 1% pushes for you during the interview, and interviewer को बोलते हैं हाँ, I had spoken with her, she has good experiences, she speaks well, and I think we should give her a shot. That is worth getting your foot in the door or not.
So when you say when we talk about skills, networking is one, being earthy is another, but it's also about communication, and the timing of the communication is very important as
and
well.
practice communication. Don't turn up to interviews thinking कि ये तो it's just convincing, ये तो HR questions है. We used to call them HR questions and corp finance
And
questions.
not even take those seriously.
हाँ, नहीं, exactly.
ये होता है, हाँ.
मत करो ये. Coming from someone who's given so many interviews that I've lost count, ये बिल्कुल मत करो. Write them down. Write those questions down. Something as stupid as why do you want to do banking if you have 3 pointers? Write those 3 pointers down to the extent कि वो आपके जहन में होना चाहिए बिल्कुल, जैसे आपसे कोई पूछे. And always link your past experiences to show why you are the absolute best candidate. क्योंकि हर सवाल जो वो आपसे पूछ रहा है, भले वो कुछ और हो, even if it's a question like accounting, उसका aim क्या है? Why should we hire you? That is the bottom line.
Yeah.
Every answer of yours should just absolutely be like, I am the person you should hire. और वो मुझे पहले लगता था मैं थोड़ा ज्यादा तो नहीं कर रही, मैं थोड़ा ज्यादा तो नहीं बोल रही कि मुझे बहुत पसंद है, इसको लगेगा मैं ओवर कर रही हूँ. ऐसा नहीं है. Go over and above. Say things like something as random as I spoke with an MD from Goldman when they were at school. They were talking about that Goldman's focusing on, I don't know, real estate sector this year because real estate market is booming. Just, it shows interest. You have to find factors and pointers to show interest and how your story matches with someone who works at Goldman Sachs in banking. It's
So
that.
ये थोड़ा देसी एलिमेंट भी है, and you can correct me here. थोड़ा जब मैं यहाँ पे देखे, people are much more comfortable, you know, exaggerating things and fabricating them in a very nice way, whereas
Padding the resume.
Yeah. And desis, at
It
least
is a skill.
it is a skill. I've seen many people, at least I would feel very shy, you know, just
Yeah,
going
that
and
is
thumping
in
on my
us.
chest and just saying, oh, I did this. So it's just it's a skill set.
Yeah.
By the end
I
of
agree.
it.
And I mean, if you think about it, you're not lying outright. Okay, what you're doing is you're marketing
Selling.
yourself in a way that the other person feels like, "Acha, you know, like this is going to be a good fit."
Yeah.
And this person's experience is relevant. It's not like you're saying I did this and you were never like. let's say you're talking about an internship where you did a financial model.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe you didn't do the entire model, maybe you did a bit of it, but you can market yourself in a way and talk about how that contributed specifically to whatever project you were working on and how you think that's relevant in whatever job you're applying for. Like, you mentioned networking and sending out cold emails. I'll tell you what I did practically.
To be a good banker now.
Yeah, we need to talk about that as well.
We will come to that just before that, because I think people who are applying for these jobs, there are a couple of things that really work for me, and I think is very helpful. यार कुछ लोग होते हैं जो ऑनलाइन अप्लाई करते हैं अपनी सीवी के साथ और उनको इंटरव्यूज आ जाते हैं. मैं वो नहीं था. ठीक है. Like, I'm pretty sure my CV went straight in the bin. You said apply early. By that, she means when the application opens, within 15 minutes, your application needs to be submitted for investment banks. 15 minutes from when the application opens. Because she's saying 300 to 400 is done in the first hour. That's it. That's the cutoff point. Dusri cheez, networking. I created a system where, like, I would go through LinkedIn, go through these different investment banks, वहाँ से उनके MDs, directors, VPs के नाम निकाले, and I would send at least 10 cold emails every day. Wow. So that's 17 a week, right? 10 लोगों का रिप्लाई आता था, 4 लोग मेरे से फोन पे बात करते थे, शायद एक बंदा इंटरव्यू दे देता था या मेरी HR के साथ CV पुश कर देता था. I did not get in my job. So, like, applications open in September. Typically, people have a job by November.
Yeah.
That's how quickly the process works. It was January, or I didn't have a job, right? And I spoke. There's this Pakistani MD in Barclays. That's where I'm currently working. I still remember his name was S1E1. He was the head of fintech investment banking at Barclays. I did the same thing. It was a cold email to Essen, and like, he gave me a call. We had a 1-hour discussion, and he was like, "Okay, I'll push your CV with HR. I'll see what I can do." There was an assessment center, which is Super Day you were talking about, in February, because there were a few slots that they wanted to fill in. They had received like, they had given offers to some candidates, and they had went for another bank. So 5-6 slots they had to fill in. I got the call in Feb. It was the last assessment center that was happening. So networking does help, but it doesn't work linearly. अब ये ना सोचो कि मैं 100 email डालूंगा तो भाई मुझे 100 interviews आ जाएंगे. No. Like, तुम 1000 emails डालोगे, उसके बाद तुम्हें 5 interviews आएंगे या 4 interviews आएंगे, जिसमें से एक से शायद तुम्हें job मिल जाए if you're well prepared. And then preparing for the questions, this is what I did. The questions are very similar.
Yeah.
Across banks. So you pretty much know what's going to happen. I used to draft answers, like write them down, record myself saying those answers. And then when I was going, like, I made sure it was like a 30-second, 1-minute thing, because you don't want to talk for too long as well. When I was going to the gym or going for a run, headphones in, I'd listen to myself giving those answers. I know this sounds a bit extreme.
No.
But mera, like, for me, I remember, like, we used to have these trips to London. So I was studying finance at HEC. One of the things they would do is at the start of the year, they'd take you to Canary Wharf. So you'd take the Eurostar from Paris, come here, London, St. Pancras, go to Canary Wharf. You were here for 2 days.
By the way, for the audience, what is Canary Wharf?
Canary Wharf is where, for the audience, Canary Wharf in London is
it's
a place
where all
where
your dreams die.
Where all your dreams die. You've got all these investment banks. You come here, you sell your soul. But essentially, they took me there. Bro, I was standing there, and Canary Wharf, like, it's like Manhattan. You got all these tall buildings and everything. Yeah. And I was like, "Bhencho, yahan kaam karna hai."
अब आया है भाई अपने घर पे.
I was like, यहाँ आना है, जो मर्जी मुझे करना पड़े.
लॉर तो लंदन.
There was a point like in January जब लोगों की jobs नहीं लगी थी, they were like, यार चल दुबई चलते हैं, consulting apply कर लेते हैं, like, it's good money, कोई taxes नहीं है ये. I was like, fuck no. Like, I don't care. Like, मुझे 6 महीने internship करनी पड़े, 1 साल internship करनी पड़े, मुझे investment banking करनी है. And it was fun. Like, honestly, like, it sounds pretty intense, but like, जब आपका focus होना है एक किसी चीज पे, like, you can literally double down on it. And I'm actually still, like, I miss that focus. I think it's very hard. It's very hard to get that now because there's so many things moving around. But yeah, I hope that helps a few people actually.
Just last point on that, because you reminded me of something. For someone watching who's in final year, there are these events that you can go to, जो बहुत London specific होते हैं, but they're called spring events. I went to, like, I remember तब वैसे बोलते थे private equity तो बेटा भूल जाओ, मतलब किसको मिलती है private equity job first, लेता ही एक दो फंड होगा, उसमें भी you don't speak another European language, like why are you valuable in any sense?
Shoot yourself.
Yeah, I was like, तुमने अपने आप को क्या समझ रखा है? तो I was like, ठीक है सर, नहीं मिल सकता तो कुछ ट्राई कर लेंगे. Blackstone used to have this women's event. The HR called me. I pestered her so much कि वो ऐसे she was like, मैं 2 हफ्ते में बताऊंगी who got selected. उसने मुझे 1 हफ्ते में she was like, मैडम आपका हो गया है. Ma'am, please don't, like, stop emailing me, stop calling me. And सही में this is what happened. और हम वहाँ से बैठे हैं. That was my कि यहाँ काम करना है मोमेंट. ऐसे मेफेयर में
Oh yeah.
ब्लैकस्टोन का जो ऑफिस है, उनके टेरेस से लंदन आई दिखता है. तो 22 साल की बच्ची को ले गए वहाँ. मैं देख रही हूँ, आज लाइक, एंड एवरीवनस इन सूट्स, लाइक रियली एक्सपेंसिव सूट्स, लाइक स्टिलेटोस एंड स्टफ, एंड every, like, P में it's not such a supercharged environment. It's much like older population, young लोग काफी कम होते हैं, तो ऐसा लगता है कि कुछ बहुत ही फाड़ कर रहे हैं, बट किसी को बता नहीं रही है क्या कर रहे हैं. It's a very quiet,
Like, it's a very cult type
yeah,
of
it's
feeling.
very cult.
Like they're very powerful, but like, you know, it's that type of power. You don't want
Yeah.
light on it.
It's like, you know,
right?
जैसे साइलेंट लग्जरी होती है ना, कि
Yeah.
Balenciaga ब्लैक पे ब्लैक लिखा है कि आपको पता ही नहीं चल रहा है कि महंगा है वो. तो वो वैसा, it was like that. And I saw that, I was like, bro, this place. So, but there are always ways, if you put your mind to something. I had calls from Blackstone Private Equity, and उसके बाद मतलब उनका process काफी tough होता है, and then the whole point about आप European language नहीं बोलते हैं आ गया at some point, but they were willing to interview me for like real estate or like special ops, like special sits, some other teams, and तब ऐसा आपको लगता है कि 22-23 साल में कि if someone says no to you, don't take that to your heart. If
Very
you
important.
really want it, there's a way out.
You have to get comfortable with rejection. Like if you're gunning for these big jobs or honestly anything
In life.
anything worth having in life, you need to be very comfortable with rejection.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a story brewing there.
I feel like that's going to come up now.
No, rejections, they become, I mean, as you grow up, rejections just become part of your everyday life, and then you just like start to live with it. And you know, on the face of it, it looks like, oh, you know, everything is so shiny, everything is so rosy, but behind that shine, there are so many rejections. So we were talking about Amazon. Moving to Amazon, I went through like lots of rejections, and the number is in double digits, even though it was an internal transfer. The point is not that, you know, oh, I lack something. Maybe yes, but you should stop giving yourself too much of importance, because many times it's not you, it's them.
Yeah.
Rejections happen because of, you know, sometimes the other person doesn't want it. And same thing happens with your dating life, your relationships, with friends. You know, sometimes the other person is not in the right headspace, and then you tend to lose out and you tend to blame yourself. Life happens, so just make rejections a part of it. And yeah, same thing for jobs as well. So even at IIMs, though we, like you were talking about French business schools, where companies do not come to you, you have to go to them. IIMs are still like working on that format where there's day zero, day one, and companies are coming interviewing you back to back. My day zero, I had shortlist from Barclays, Goldman, and there are a few other top banks, and super like 4-5 है, एक में तो हो ही जाएगा.
Right.
So and day zero, I didn't have
Zero.
a job. Zero. Then there was a GD day. I interviewed with other firms and constantly kept on, you know, getting rejected. And then you know, after so many rejections, you just make your peace with it. And you know, you just go in the flow. पूछो क्या पूछना है.
I think वो gamify भी हो जाता है थोड़ा सा आपके दिमाग में.
Yes, and you stop getting, you know, worried about that. It's like ice bath dip, right? So you feel anxious in the first few rejections, and then you are just okay with it. You know that I'm not doing something so drastically bad that I've been rejected by X number of companies. Fine. If and there were firms which would come and say, oh, because you have disability, we cannot hire you.
Are you serious?
Oh, yes. I don't know if I should really name those firms, but yeah, people do that.
Wow.
And maybe they have their practical reasons, whatever, but it, it's just not the way to tell a candidate who has already gone through like 10 rejections in a day already. But I was lucky enough to get through Flipkart, and I enjoyed my stint there a lot, the most rather. So yeah.
No, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think the rejection thing is very like getting used to it is important in dating life as well. I think we should come
Talking
to that.
about dating, Ali,
Yeah.
how is London treating you?
London, like
Learn from the master.
London, like London, like I'm definitely not the master. I'm a very very good boy, but London, I think like any major city, um, I think it's very convenient and very easy to get into short-term casual type of relationships, but it's very hard to find someone for a long-term committed like relationship. I think that is definitely the case here in London. I don't know what your experience is like,
Um, similar lines. I think the dating life is damn fast paced here in
Yeah.
London. I moved from Jalandhar.
Yeah.
Forget dating. If you're with someone, you're seen with someone, like you are considered to be dating.
Bro,
and
आजकल
then-
तो जलंधर से भी fast हो गई है।
Nee, but what about like Bangalore में जब रहते थे तब?
Delhi.
You went to SRCC.
Yeah.
तो वहाँ दिल्ली में भी लोग fast ही
That
होंगे.
yeah, it was fast. That was like pre Tinder Bumble era, and
Oh right, yeah.
so I don't know how to feel about this, but I can say I've come from that era जब तुम लड़कियों के पीजी के चक्कर काटते थे. I've done all that.
In the most non-problematic way possible.
Oh yes.
Continue.
Oh yes. No, I was hitting on this girl there, and I used to go to her PG, pick her up, and that uncle knew we were dating and the kind of looks I would get or she would get. So then we started meeting, outside and there's this like in the corner. So she would walk up to there, and then I would pick her up. I mean, have done all that. So yeah, I think that had its own taste of dating. Things were relatively
बड़ी innocent
slow.
मोहब्बत होती है उस time पे. It's not the same anymore.
आजकल left, right. So you just keep sorry. Dating life in London, I think it's pretty. It's very different from what I have seen back in India. People are very practical. If you are able to catch someone in that first few scrolls of your chat, which are like first 5-10 minutes.
I just love you use the word catch. I just love it.
I was actually gonna ask, like, can you clarify? What do you mean catch someone the
Catch
first
someone.
No,
time?
as in
Lock them down.
you have their attention. You
Ah,
have
got it.
because it's very easy to lose out on a person in the first 5 minutes. Like कि होने वाला है, नहीं होने वाला. At
Vibes.
least हाँ vibe है नहीं है, date हो रहा है नहीं हो रहा है. वो पहले लंदन में इतनी जल्दी पता चल जाता है ना. And plus and the good part is there's a very good diversity. You can talk to different kind of people, and in fact I have realized there are certain communities which come across more closed initially, but eventually they open up a lot, and vice versa as well.
What's the dating app scene like in India? Because I think it's quite penetrated now, right? At least in the major cities. When I speak to my friends in Bombay or Delhi, they tell me like they met someone through a dating app. Back in Pakistan, at least, well, I mean, it's been 6 years, but I don't think it's as prevalent.
Okay.
I don't know what the reason for that is, but I have a hunch. Like I feel like एक तो तुम लोगों की population बहुत बड़ी है, right? So there's the anonymity factor.
A young population.
Young population बहुत बड़ी है. Like if you were in a city like Lahore and you had a dating app, like you would know like 60-70% of the people जो उस पे आ रहे हैं,
Same.
right? वो तुम्हारे inner circle के अंदर ही होंगे.
हाँ.
At least like if you're at least based on a
Hmm.
certain social strata,
Hmm.
right? Certain socioeconomic background, you'll be having the same people. So it feels a bit awkward
Yeah.
to do that. क्योंकि तुम like if you're swiping on someone जिससे तुम अभी 5 दिन पहले ही मिले हो, यार उसको in person ही बता देते हैं.
Yeah.
But in India, I think because of the population and
Not population, I think even so when I look at Jalandhar, it has a like very small population, but I
Yeah.
still see people who are on dating
but is it
apps.
as prevalent as Delhi and Bombay?
No.
Okay, so I think that's the reason, right?
And I think there's a certain level of acceptance as well.
Yeah.
Like my parents keep on asking you, "Oh, tera bumble कितना चल रहा है?"
No.
Oh my god.
So now it's not just your friends or this dating life pressure, but it's also like this pressure coming from home.
Yeah.
How is your Tinder profile? How is your like Bumble profile?
Really?
Oh
It's
yes.
very
They're like
surprising.
इतने channels दे रखे हैं तुम्हें,
हाँ.
फिर भी नहीं पढ़ रही है कोई, कैसे चल सकता है ऐसे?
नहीं ऐसा भी नहीं कोई. But
You painted that picture. I never said
no,
anything.
I'm just saying that I see the dating also. I think at the age of 30, it happens in phases. There are phases you want it. There are phases you don't want it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, I think if you've got like 2 or 3 things like goals or something like going on in your life, at least for me personally, I feel like during that phase, just now be investment banking lene wala phase tha. I would not want to be in a relationship in that phase. I don't I just feel like it takes away a bit of your focus. I don't know. It depends on the person, but I don't know. What do you think?
I think dating भी साइन वेव है. जब तुम 24-25 के होते हो तब तुम्हें लगता है कि यार मेरी लव मैरिज होगी एंड मैं एकदम 27-28 में शादी करूंगा. एंड जब 26 में तुम्हारा ब्रेकअप हो जाता है फिर तुम्हें लगता है अरेंज मैरिज इतनी भी बुरी नहीं है. लोगों के ऊपर है. And then you are 28 now and you think कि oh I'm love marriage होने नहीं वाला, for I'm too cool for abhi to do
Arrange.
too cool for arrange, but you slowly start accepting that
हाँ.
reality and you start to move towards it. Then there are people around you getting married and 30 में आके लगता है arrange भी नहीं हो रही है यार.
No, but people don't have pure arranged marriages like that anymore, right? It's more like arranged dating, right? Like you're like maybe your parents are like, okay, like these are friends, they've got a daughter, like, and you meet her, right? You're getting introduced, and then there's like a courtship period and everything, right? So it'll never be like पुत्र कल तेरी शादी है, ठीक है, और परसों तुम पहली दफा देख रहे हो अपनी बीवी को. That doesn't happen anymore, right? So
yeah, it does.
It's less.
I would like to
common.
believe so, but
I mean, you'd never know. But even if you're meeting people outside of that thing where your parents are not introducing, like it's still kind of arranged because, like, let's say hamara circle, if Sameeksha is introducing you to someone, right, she's still arranging that meeting or
next
arranging
week
that,
I am introducing you to
exactly.
someone.
So I mean, it's still kind of arranged. It's just a different medium.
Yeah, nice. But tell me about one of your dating experiences in London.
Best and worst. Let's go around.
Sameeksha, you are in a long-term relationship?
Yeah, you're in a
We'll come to
long-term
that. I have
relationship,
no experience in all this.
You've got no experience, but so for me at least, it's a very funny one. I mean, this goes back to the online dating type of thing, right? So I met this girl at this event. It was a Qawwali event, right?
London mein?
हाँ, London में. Met this girl, like, एक दो दफा बात हुई and like exchange Instagram and everything, right? And it was a very मतलब 10-15 मिनट की बात हुई होगी during the event, right? So you don't really get to like इतना पता नहीं चलता दूसरे बंदे का. And then you're on Instagram, okay, fine. You're just looking at the person visually, right? And the person is appealing to you visually. And then I met her, went for coffee. That was very good. Achha, because it's quick, right? It's like 20-30 minute coffee. That was good interaction. And then I was like, okay, this deserves a second date with good vibes and everything. Went on the second date. That was dinner. It was not a good vibe.
What changed, Ali?
I don't know.
I feel like Ali is giving us a signal. Like, be thankful I tolerate you guys.
No, it's more like I feel like, someone can appeal to you visually, right? I think that's sort of the first layer. Someone can be great at those 20-30 minute coffee chats.
Yeah.
It's quick, it's daytime, it's very
Yeah.
nice. But dinner and like a longer date is very different, right? You need to open up a bit more. You need to sort of, be a bit more vulnerable as well.
Yeah.
And if the other person isn't doing that, or you don't feel comfortable doing that with the other person, like just vibe just goes down, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the things with online dating. Well, this wasn't online, but like there was an aspect of it, right? It's like quick dating. I think it's better if your friend circle is introducing you to someone because they've sort of vetted that person.
Yeah.
और उनको तुम्हारा भी पता है, उस बंदे का भी पता है, and they know if the vibe is going to match or not. Sometimes it doesn't, but at least that's what I've learned from a few experiences. And then there's others that I just won't talk about.
not this soon. Maybe.
Maybe like
maybe we
10th
let
episode
people
or something.
discover Ali. So
guys, make this go viral if you want to hear Ali's crazy dating story.
As for me, initially it was a shocker because I went for a date with this Brit person, and she said that, oh, let's meet for drinks. Like, okay, what time? Okay, it's like 7ish. And now when you live alone, you have to cook on your own. You're like कि ठीक है मैं डिनर पे जा रहा हूँ, ब्रंच कर लिया, मैं सीधा डिनर पे ही खाऊंगा एंड पील के खाऊंगा. So I reached there and we met. She was a very nice, bubbly person. So एक ड्रिंक, दो ड्रिंक, एंड आई एम पंजाबी एंड चखने के बिना अपना होता नहीं है, ठीक है. एंड यहाँ लोग सूखी दारू पी रहे हैं, ठीक है. तो वो मैडम तो गटक गई 2 वाइन एंड उसके बाद मैं कहा यार अब थोड़ा चखना वखना ऑर्डर करते हैं एंड एंड देन लेट्स ऑर्डर फूड एज वेल. शी सेड फूड. आई थिंक या फूड, क्योंकि खाली पेट में 2 पैक डाउन होता. And so same, she said no, actually this was supposed to be a drink state and I've had my dinner. Like 7:30 हुए हैं. And already people are done for it. So this was a cultural shock for me. तो उसके बाद and cool बनने के लिए कहते मैं yeah, I was just asking, like I'm full.
Did she mean like dinner's more commitment and stuff like that?
No, she just meant I've had my dinner. We are just meeting for drinks and just see where it goes. And
कि तो ज्यादा आगे का मत सोच, हम बस drinks के लिए मिलते.
First date था.
Yeah.
And नहीं, so the part that I got confused with was कि यहाँ पे 7 बजे मिल रहे, तो अगर ड्रिंक्स बोले तो ड्रिंक्स ही होंगे, वो डिनर करके आ रही है. एंड मैं खाली पेट 2 पैक डाउन, 3 पैक डाउन, 4 पैक डाउन, और उसके बाद वो कुछ बोल रही है, मुझे बिल्कुल समझ में नहीं आ रहा.
Oh my God.
खाली पेट 4 पैक डाउन हुए, चखना भी नहीं मिला है. तो उसके बाद that date went from here to here
Real quick.
within 2 pegs. So
Nice.
yeah, that's been my dating experience. One of my
one of your dating experience.
Yeah.
But you're in a long-term monogamous committed relationship.
Oh my God, too many characterizations there. Yeah, I've
actually long distance as well.
Long distance as well, like as of now. But yeah, when you were talking about कि आपकी life में जब ऐसे important goals चल रहे हैं, like when cracking a job was an important goal, you're single or you have someone who's so supportive and you can like trust that person with your life kind of a thing. There's nothing in between. बीच के लिए आपके पास time और mental bandwidth नहीं है. So I think I lucked out in that sense. Like it's been the same person that I met when I went to France at grad school. Still the same person. And even when we started job, they say, you think connecting the dots now, looking back, आपको ऐसे शुरू में लगता है ना, why did you hit it off with someone or why has it lasted so long? And then even things like profession, ambition, they should match. क्योंकि मुझे याद है जब पहले साल में आपकी लगी पड़ी है जॉब में, आपको पता है मतलब रोज उठ के जा रहे हो जलील होने के लिए. That is finance and banking. You just wake up every day to get insulted and go back. But बहुत सीखने को मिलता है at the end of 2-3 years, but शुरू में तो बहुत ही बुरा लगता है अपने आप के लिए.
Yeah, you're like waking up every morning, you're like, these are the 5 ways I'm going to get like
Yeah.
completely like just fucked, right?
Yeah, you wake up
That's finance.
every morning and like, aaj kaise?
Huh.
How will I mess up today?
Yeah.
Let's figure out that.
I think working is like
It
that.
gets better with
You're
time.
constantly looking for caveats. You're
Yeah.
constantly यहाँ पे मैं गलती कर सकता हूँ, यहाँ पे मेरा मैनेजर भी गलती पकड़ सकता
It,
है.
it makes you a bit cynical as well. Like
Yeah,
in this
yeah.
high finance working in there, you're like, okay, well, like
100%.
something's gonna go wrong. I'm going to get that email. Like, can you do this? I'm going to get that email at 9 p.m.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So when that happens, first year if you're working in these jobs, it's super hard. So if your partner is not, either your partner's understanding or your partner's going through something similar, तब आपकी एकदम ट्रैक पे चल रही है लाइफ, क्योंकि किसी के पास टाइम नहीं है वो. So it was that was the case for me. He started working in consulting. I started working at Goldman. किसी के पास घंटा टाइम नहीं है. इट्स लाइक करियर बनाना है अभी. अगर हफ्ते में 2-3 बार बात हो जाए तो बहुत बड़ी बात है. But उसके अलावा don't expect anything else.
But both people are understanding of that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That is the most important
Yeah.
thing. Like if someone's in a career like this and the other person, they're working, they're in a career, whatever, but it's not as cutthroat.
Yeah.
Right? Then the other person won't understand. They'll be like, यार ठीक है, मैं भी काम कर रहा हूँ या काम कर रही हूँ. मैं तो 6-7 बजे घर आ जाता हूँ, घर आ जाती हूँ और मतलब I've got a life outside. Why don't you have a life like I
Yeah.
need your time.
Yeah.
It
दिक्कत
doesn't
वही है
work.
तुम
It doesn't work.
उस जॉब को इतना इम्पोर्टेंस नहीं दे रहे हो.
Yeah, but like
But that's what I meant. Either supportive. I
Yeah.
think people
there's
can be
nothing in between.
supportive
Yeah.
without doing similar jobs. I think there's some people who are like as partners.
Yeah.
They're either supportive or they're in a similar vein so that they
Yeah.
can understand what you feel.
I feel like for them to be supportive, they need to still understand कि मतलब
हाँ.
scene क्या है, right? Why is this person like this? Why is the job like this?
I
They need
agree.
to पता होना चाहिए.
But you can respect and support without going through it yourself.
Yeah, you don't have to go through it.
That's what
yourself,
I meant.
But you just need to understand.
For sure,
Yeah.
100%. तो या तो आप एकदम 100% समझ रहे हो कि डिमांडिंग जॉब है, टाइम लगेगा, मेहनत लगेगी, या आप सिमिलर जॉब कर रहे हो और आपकी भी मर रही है. तो दोनों वेज में that's the only way you can last, and I think that's the only way I've lasted. And like on and off, I've had very close friends tell me like, don't you ever feel like इतने साल हो गए, you're in London now. Like पहले पेरिस में थे तो क्या फ्रेंच लोगों लैंग्वेज ही बोलनी नहीं आती थी. What will you date there? यहाँ it's like, oh, so many people, so many South Asians, so many Europeans, so many Americans. Like it's a vibrant place to date. And I'm like, no, I don't feel like anything's missing because it becomes a very stable and integral part of your life, and then you stop looking for it outside and elsewhere. So that's what it's been for me.
Great.
I think this is going to be super helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah. I think before wrapping up, final comments.
Yeah.
Let's just go around the table and hear about what do we hope to get from this podcast, and why are we even doing it in the first place? Let's start with
When I look back at Sajan, who was 21, and even at 23, super confused how life is gonna be.
Yeah.
We tend to have a very skeptical view of life. No, wow, we are just told the extreme tales of extreme happiness, of extreme success, or extreme sadness and despair. The idea of this podcast is to tell those people, to tell back that 21-year-old sergeant or other kids, it's gonna be all right. Let us walk you through our journey and honestly tell you what we are going through.
No, that's very well said.
Yeah.
I think for me, like it's very similar. It's hard to beat your speech though. But yes, I think for me also, I want to talk to the person who is whatever 3-4 years behind whatever stage we're at right now, and they're going through the same challenges, and it's more about helping them, inspiring them, educating them about what we face, the challenges we faced, and people like us. We were going to have guests on this as well. और उनको बताना है कि like you don't need to lose hope. These are the problems. Other people like us, and you know we've gone through the same problems, and like this is how we sort of overcame.
Yeah, I think mix of both. But predominantly when I think about it, for me, it's everyone paints a very rosy picture of life in London, life in these jobs, life doing dhanda in London, whatever. Like, I think my primary aim is to be as transparent as possible about obstacles and difficulties as you face, but also talk about the silver linings and also talk about the days when you feel like all of it is worth it. And you feel like life's beautiful and everything is just as it was supposed to be. So it's a mix of both and just exploring the good things, the bad things, and everything in between,
And connecting the dots.
and connecting the dots.
Connecting
Super,
the
guys.
dots.
Like, if you want to listen to more content, you should subscribe below.
Yes, please. Please tell us what you thought about our podcast.
And know that we are going to make a lot of mistakes, but in all these mistakes, you will just hear our honest stories.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think, like.